Guys, this is Paul with Asher Automotive. Today we're going to show you our inspection and diagnostic process. Got a old 2005 Trailblazer here, and what we're going to do is get the tech in here and just kind of walk you guys through our normal inspection process. We do this so that we can inform the customer everything that's going on with their vehicle that we can see. We're not doing this to pressure sell the customer into doing anything they don't want to do. We just want to make sure, one, we do our job, and two, that we let the customer know exactly where their vehicle is, what's going on due to age, mileage, and things like that. This car came in this morning stating that it had a no crank situation, that the ignition key was hard to turn. We've already found out from pulling it into the parking lot that the shifter cable is not attached to the transmission shifting rod, so we're having to shift this thing manually into the car. My technician Rob is going to get in this vehicle and start his inspection process and take it for a quick spin. Hope you guys enjoy the video.
First thing I do is do a walk around the car, making sure I get pictures and videos of any external damage and stuff like that. Like this guy's got a crack in the windshield right here. I want to make sure that's noted. The inspection has pictures of the damage already on it and that type of stuff. The customer comes back and he's like, oh, y'all broke my windshield. We'll be like, no, before we even touched your car, there's a crack in the windshield. So it just kind of protects us, protects the shop, holds the customer accountable so they can't come back on us and be like, hey, this is messed up. His windshield wipers are falling apart. So that's going to be something I put in the inspection, let them know, hey, you need to buy new windshield wipers, otherwise you're not going to be seeing going down the road, especially in the rain. And that's pretty much it for the external body part of the inspection, just making sure that all that's noted. And we actually have a whole list of stuff to write up on the vehicle, just stuff we noticed, stuff that's important. We have a miscellaneous catch-all one down here that we can put, like the gas door, that'd probably be under miscellaneous. So while the truck's running, I'm gonna take a picture of the odometer just to make sure that all the lights that are on the dash are on the dash. If the customer doesn't want to take care of them or any type of stuff like that, say the check engine's lights on and he doesn't approve a diag or anything like that, well then we have a picture that it was on previously, that the customer thinks it's a non-issue. Next thing we're going to do is a code scan just to figure out why the check engine light's on. So we got a P0106, a P0410, a P2101, bunch of anti-lock brake codes, BCM code, and we're going to be taking pictures of all these too. Let's go ahead and take it for a test drive real quick and then we'll come back and dig through the rest of the inspection. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it's in reverse right now and now it's not shifting out. So I can move this car, it's still in reverse. This is completely disconnected from the transmission itself. So it's non-existent right now. I have to climb under the truck, actually manually shift it between. I can tell you right now that it's broken internally here. The wire is actually not connected to this, so it's a manual shift. Is it in neutral right now?
Dude, what?
This thing's in neutral right now.
It says reverse on there, and it's in neutral.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one for sure. I'll find out eventually, but right now I'm more concerned about the actual driving portion of the inspection that we do. So I want to go check, make sure it's not pulling one way or the other, or the front end's not shaking, or any type of stuff like that. All right, so right now I'm looking for any type of pulling, shaking. I'm looking for brakes jiggling. I'm looking for any type of stuff, front end, back end, going over bumps, seeing if shock's making noise, seeing if any type of stuff like that happens. Like right now we have a little bit of a brake jiggle, so that'll be definitely something that I look at, take measurements, make sure everything's, how it should be or not. I'm also looking to see, hey, is his blinkers working? Is his lights working? Any type of stuff like that. Any weird stuff that happens whenever I hit the blinker. Weirdly enough, I actually had a Chevy. You hit the blinker, the dome lights came on. So any type of weird stuff like that, that's what you're checking out on this car. So the first thing we're going to check is fluids, make sure everything's topped up, ready to go. I'm going to look in the overflow tank just to make sure that it's got the proper levels in it, and it is bone dry. So it's bone dry. It should have at least a little bit in there. Next thing I'm going to check, give it a little shine down in there, and that coolant, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but it's brown. That is not a good color for coolant. So we're going to take a picture of that, put it in the inspection. Also a little bit low. I'm going to recommend a coolant pressure test, see if we can't find any type of leaks or anything like that. Anytime you're checking brake fluid or anything like that, you want to take a rag, something like that, clean the cap off, that way you're not getting dust contamination or any other type of stuff like that on inside the brake container. Brake fluid definitely smells burnt. Let's take a look at it and see what color it is. Brake fluid is very dark. So just because it smells burnt and because it's really, really dark, like almost pitch black, I'm gonna recommend a brake flush because that is not how brake fluid should look.
Damn.
Next up is engine oil. So we're gonna pull the dipstick, just check and see what it is. Their sticker said 2009 miles and truck's currently sitting at 2014 on the odometer. So it's looking like it's 5,000 miles over an oil change. Yeah, that thing is bone dry except for the very tip. So he's got an oil consumption problem. Either that or it hasn't been changed in, 5,000 miles. So checking the power steering fluid, same thing with the brake fluid. You want to clean the top off so there's no contamination getting inside the actual power steering fluid itself. This one doesn't smell burnt and it is full up on the actual measurement. So we're just gonna put that as a 1. Yeah, so whenever you're doing a transmission fluid check, you always want the vehicle running at idle and warmed up. You don't want to check it cold, you don't want to check it not running. Basically what you're looking for is the fluid level that's actually cycling through the transmission. Also check it on a level surface because that'll affect what you're reading on the dipstick too. I'm gonna clean the dipstick, put it back in, pull it back out, and that fluid is brown and burnt. It's at the proper level. What I'm gonna do is recommend a transmission flush. So I'm looking for the air filter to be clogged up or any damage to the fins or debris that's caught in there, anything that'll actually prevent the engine from breathing properly. And we're gonna check the air filter. So this air filter doesn't look terrible. Doesn't have a whole lot of white dust, so this will be a good one. I'll mark it as good, take a picture of it, put it in the inspection. Now, this is some stuff to look for. I'm gonna try and clear out as much of this as I can. That is a ton of seeds. Yeah, they're like, that's what it looks like actually, bird seeds. A lot of times, whenever you're driving, if you drive through like a bunch of plants and stuff like that, like it'll kick up off the ground, get sucked into your air box, that type of stuff. This amount, I would say there's probably like a mouse or a squirrel or I don't know, something small that got in here and brought the seed up with it. So now we're gonna be looking at the drive belt, just to make sure there's no cracks or anything like that. Doesn't look like there's any cracks. The outside of the belt's wearing good. The inside is wearing good. I don't see any problems with the actual belt itself. Give it a tug, see what the tensioner does. Tensioner is holding tension properly, so there shouldn't be any issues with the actual belt itself. I can't read the cold cranking amps on this battery, so what I'm gonna have to do is take this bracket off and then take the cover off so I can actually get the cold cranking amperage and load test the battery at a proper level. So right off the bat, looking at this battery, it's from 5.5 years ago. Just based off of that age alone, I'm gonna recommend replacing this battery, whether it tests bad or not. Once you start getting up into 4 or 5 years on a battery, that thing will go anytime. One of the customer concerns is he had to jump off his battery. I can see what that's got going on. This one's rated at 600 cold crank amps, so I'm gonna test it at 600. And right off the bat it says replace battery. I'm gonna take a picture of that and put it in the inspection. Generally, tires have wear indicators, right? So they have these little lines right here. So you've got all this meat that you still have left on the tire, but once it reaches down there, that's a good indication that you need to change your tires. It's not gonna pass inspection, any type of stuff like that. Obviously, you wanna change your tires if you're getting heavy wear on the inside right here or anything like that, because eventually it'll get down to the wires and then you're looking at a blowout eventually. This is currently at 6 millimeters in the very center. If we go over here, it's sitting at 5, and then if we go to the outside edge, it's sitting back at 6. So it's getting a little bit of wear on the inside, but nothing terrible. Generally anywhere between 4 and below. That's what I consider bad. Usually when it's got rust all over the hub and stuff like that, it'll be a kind of a pain to take off. Okay, so right off the bat, this thing is heavily grooved on the outside, and this groove right here is not gonna turn out before it gets to the smallest amount that you can actually turn. That's a really heavy groove. It's not gonna work, especially with this ridge up here and down here. This thing's had it. I'm gonna take measurements. We are sitting at 26.5 millimeters, 1.080, 27.4 millimeter. Once again, 27.432 millimeters is the discard thickness, and this is at 26.3. So this is toast, it's been wore down, it needs to be replaced. This, at this point, is a safety issue. So unfortunately for this customer, he's got good brake pads, but because of the state of the rotor, the pads need to be replaced as well. So now we're gonna actually get to the diag of this customer's concern. I'm gonna lower the vehicle a little bit so I can get my flashlight. The customer concern was he had to jump off the vehicle, also his key didn't work, and it will not shift. So we're gonna be digging into why that is a thing. All right, first things first, this has broken. So this is broken off and it's gotten wedged up in there. So this is why it's not able to shift. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to get that out of there without damaging it further.
So this is what we're looking at. This has popped out of place, and the other side has just smooth broken off.
He needs a new cable. That fixes his shifting issue. Key turning issue, that tumbler doesn't feel right. That is extremely loose, which means something interior of this tumbler has gone wonky. So yeah, I need to replace the batteries, replace the shifter cable, and continue diagnostic as far as why the key is not wanting to turn.
Yeah. So we've got this inspection and diagnostics done on this Trailblazer. We did find that transmission shift cable was not even attached to the shift linkage, and looks like the end is defective on it. So we'll write that up for a cable and send this down the road. We did find a few other things on the inspection that we'll notify the customer of. Like I said, guys, just wanted to give you a little education and let you know what we do here at the shop every day. Thanks again for visiting the channel, and we'll see you next time.